One, two. All right, this is gonna be the very first vlog. We're gonna be testing my equipment here. The latest piece that I added to my rig is a 12 millimeter Sigma lens. Right now it's at 1.8, but it goes all the way to 1.4, so I have the light when I need it. What I have to get used to is talking directly to the lens and not to display on the side. So what are we going? What are we doing? Or where are we flowing to? First, I'm gonna make sure that everything is closed and that I have my car keys. It's past my lunchtime today. I really got caught up with work. Now, right now, I am recording at 60 frames per second. Reason why is because I think it's gonna be cooler for like the vlog style, the motion, and then on top of that, the image stabilization is not set to digital. It's set to the standard because I don't want my lens to get warped. Not the lens to get warped, but I don't want the actual, I don't want the video to look kind of like warpy, right? So right now, right here, what I can do is I can open up the aperture to 1.4, and I feel like we're gonna get enough light. So let's go get our burger. Close the garage door. Very nice. Now I'm gonna grab a burger, and I'm gonna grab me a delicious burger. It's 5:15. My thing is no eating after 8 o'clock. Making sure my windshield wipers is up. Yeah, so let's go get something to eat. One thing about the 1.4 12 millimeter Sigma lens is when I first found out, I said, you know what, maybe I save thousands of dollars and I don't upgrade to the Canon R6 Mark III, although it's still very tempting because I thought to myself, I already own two Canon R7s. I have art lenses from Sigma 1.8. So I thought, what should I do next, right? So I thought, I'll do this. I'm going to sell one of my Canon R7s. I'm going to sell one of my art lenses, and I'm going to pick up the 12 millimeter 1.4. In my mind, I'm like, I'll use it for vlogging, and most importantly, because I'm using a crop sensor APC camera, I thought to myself, well, if it's a 1.4, it'll let a good amount of light in. And if you start editing and recording, of course, in C-Log, what happens is you're going to get your higher dynamic range, right? You're going to get your 10-bit, and you'll be able to have more flexibility when it comes to your contrast, right? Your highlights and your midtones and your shadows. So that's exactly what my philosophy was. And so I said, fine, I'll go ahead and invest on the 12 millimeter Sigma lens 1.4. So here we are. This is the college campus across from where I live. And it's funny because this is a small little SUV, right? And I'm just resting my hand right here on the center console. And of course, even though it's a crop sensor, this 12 millimeter is, did I say 12 point? No, just 12 millimeter is good. Like, I feel like we have a good enough space here in this frame. I think I'm gonna really love this lens, especially for traveling. This lens is extremely small. I'll show you guys how small it is. And I'm using a step-up ring. I believe it's from 62 to an 82 step-up ring because I got a much bigger ND filter, and it's a variable ND filter. In fact, I got two different ones, so I'm gonna test both of them. I'll share the reviews with you guys as far as what I thought, if it was really true to color, if I noticed any, so the past ones that I used, I did get that weird X, especially in photography, not so much videography. But one thing I did notice from my previous ND filters by K&F, and by the way, I picked up another two K&Fs, but this time I kind of went all out. I realized that it'll take some of the color away. It'll add like a blanket of dullness. That's the best way that I can explain it. And so these filters are supposed to be higher quality filters with better technology. I'm gonna go ahead and point the camera at the sky just because there's some clouds over there with beautiful light hitting them. The sun's about to set, so the sun's hitting the clouds from the back, and I'm gonna see if I'm able to edit that later, depending on if if it's not all blown out and if it'll still work. So what I was saying was, yes, ND filters are a big deal. So my intention with the ND filter is have the ND filters connect, one connected, and always have, most of the time, always have it on the actual camera. And because it's a 1.4, I feel like that ND filter can stay on there, even though the first stop is at it's 2 stops, which is at the lowest. So I just figured if I'm on the go, it'll give me some flexibility. For example, like when I'm outside shooting like this, or when I enter like a restaurant and I'm indoor and I'm gonna need a little bit more light, maybe just play with the aperture a little bit. This is all still new to me. I used to use GoPro cameras. I used to use my phone, and I used to connect my like a SSD card to my phone and record with the Blackmagic. But nothing really beats the sensor and specs as an of the actual camera, especially the cool Canon R7. When I sold one of my Canon R7s, I was look at the clouds. I was a little bummed out because I've done interviews, I've done podcasts, I've done so many cool things with 2 R7s back to back. And so that was pretty cool. So maybe I do this, and maybe I get some more funds together over time, and I finally do pick up the Canon R6 Mark III, because the specs on that camera, that's a pro camera, and I feel like you get a lot of bang for your buck, and that one actually has IBIS. I would have actually picked up the Canon R6 Mark III if it had the built-in false color. If it had the built-in false color, that would have been so sick. Just because the Canon 50V, the Canon R50V, that has false color. I was like, what the heck? How come that little camera got it? But then again, when it comes to stuff like this, manufacturers are usually, what can I say? They're pretty strategic when it comes to this stuff. So let's see if we can get a Super Bomb hamburger. And by the way, as far as the mic device that I am using, I'm using a DJI Mic 2 here. This bad boy right here. Having the proper settings on your camera when it comes to the mic, and also the proper settings on your transmitter and receiver, make a big deal when you're doing the post edits. All right, here comes the light. Here.
Hi, welcome to Farmables. Go ahead and order whenever you're ready, and don't forget, use your VIF points.
I'm ready. For the natural burgers in comparison to the regular burgers, what's the difference?
The natural patties are hormone-free and antibiotic-free, and they're 1/3 of a pound instead of the 1/4 pound.
Nice. Okay, let me get the natural cheeseburger, please.
Okay, by itself or the meal?
I'll get it by itself.
Okay.
Do you guys have pepper jack cheese?
Pepper jack, yes.
Can I use that instead of the yellow cheese?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
You said by itself, right?
Yes, please.
Anything else for you?
That's it for tonight.
All right, 12.90 to the window. Thank you.
Cool. So there you have it. I actually have the opportunity to eat somewhat healthy. This is exactly one of the reasons too why I'm leaving the United States, is because everything here. Oh, you know what I could do, guys, is I can do this. It's all about the lighting, right? So I let a little bit more light by just moving the sunroof out here to get better light distribution. This is it actually just made me look balder. So everything here in the United States is not meant to help you thrive. From the rice to the beans to the vegetables to the fruit, everything is just packed with hormones, ingredients that are not good for the body. And though people wonder, well, why do I feel sluggish? Why do I feel lazy? Why do I feel certain ways? Because all this food that we're eating, it's basically the fuel, and this fuel is not clean fuel. So for a whole year and a half, I gave up meat. And when I would go to the gym, I did feel the stamina was changing, and the way I would feel before and after, I feel lighter, I feel cleaner. But the temptation was terrible. Like, I would go out with friends and families, and they would order these delicious dishes, and I would just settle for I don't even, it was such a hard thing to do. And I did it for multiple reasons. One, I felt like, well, consciously, maybe from a spiritual realm, I'll be able to tap into more of, I can say, higher vibrational downloads, because I wouldn't be eating something that was murdered, something that was killed. And so from a spiritual standpoint, I thought I'll eat cleaner, and that way I become more aligned with this beautiful divine, right? Because I figured we should be able to live off of vegetables and fruits and nuts. And so I did that for a year and a half, and I was really lean. You know, I still had a little muscle on me. I was cut. But I finally thought to myself, like, you know, I'm not really feeling differently as far as like the whole spiritual thing went. So I figured I'll just go back to eating meat, but this time when I'm eating meat, I'll be more mindful as far as what type of meat I'm actually consuming. So I started eating a little bit of bison. I started eating a little bit of more like seafood, like salmon. And then I learned that, you know, our chicken is constantly pumped with certain chemicals to not only retain its freshness, but its color to look a bit more vivid and more captivating. And I'm like, can't we win as a human species here in the United States? Can't you guys just care about your citizens and not be so fixated on how much money pharma can bring in from its people constantly getting sick, getting ill, and going to the hospital? Can we please stop with the whole added sugars on everything that you buy and everything that you consume? And the answer was no, no, no. So I thought, like, man, it makes it so difficult for me when I go to the grocery store and I'm going through the aisles and I'm trying to select things to make eating enjoyable, like fun, and it's healthy is dull. And not always, but for the most part. So then I started baking my own potatoes. I started eating more baked vegetables and eggs, boiled eggs, and it just gets more difficult every time I go to the grocery store. So I know I went on a whole rant and I didn't think I was going to do this, but it is what it is. Let me stop recording for a few seconds here and I get right back to you guys. Have a good night. Thanks. It's funny because there's a helicopter and they are looking for a white male with a black sweater and sunglasses, and he was walking by earlier, which is crazy. I got a certain vibe from him too. So let's go ahead and taste this burger, huh? And then I'm gonna set my light to auto right now as soon as we get inside of the house, so that we can finish up this conversation and see how everything looks inside. Let's do it. Turn on some lights here. Minnie, go outside. One thing that I just remembered is when I traveled over to the United Kingdom, I noticed that the standards and the regulations were a lot more strict when it came to McDonald's. So over there, the ingredients that they use are not the same ingredients they use here in the United States. Out here in the United States, you try to feed a dog a patty from McDonald's, the dog will sniff it and not eat it. And it's funny because animals know what's good and what's not. And what's interesting is I learned that the amount of ingredients that they use in the United Kingdom are way less than what they use here in the United States. The portions are also smaller as well. So this just comes to show you why I plan on leaving. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I try to minimize my sugar consumption, but you can't eat a burger without ketchup. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.